Good morning, anybody. I think we're ready this time. All right, so it's time for a truck tour, another one. This one's been long coming. I finished this build quite a while ago. I'll, as usual, try to get you some close-up stuff on it and put some pictures in, stills that I have from when I did the build, and then some running video. So this was a quite inexpensive RTR, like a Rock Hobby or something like that, ROC. Willie's Jeep. It had some little straight axles on it, and come on, these military wheels and tires. I bought it full well planning to do this kind of a build, and then way back in the day they had some Willys type Jeeps that were for the Navy. As I've probably said in another video somewhere, I was in the Navy, so I wanted to do kind of a nod to the Navy with a World War II Jeep. So that's what it got. I was on the aviation side. I used a lot of the insignias that they did, an air base, an actual air base. The unit I was in, I used their designator. So that's the style. It's pretty realistic looking, like especially for these characters. So yeah, that's that. They worked out okay. Height-wise, they're not really tall enough, like their legs aren't big enough, but body, head size, that kind of stuff, they worked out pretty good. So it's got a Popeye theme. I call it the Popeye Jeep or Popeye or what have you. So that's the name of this rig. I'll get these guys out of the way. And try to get in a little bit closer. It's a hard body. These are 1.9s with a 425 trencher on them. The hood opens. I really had to cram a lot of things in here. You can see by the passenger seat, my receiver's here, so I got some wires that hang in there. These shocks are an Amazon brand called QT. Like QUE, then just the letter T, I believe. The body's pretty scale. The overall measurements, I think they call it like a 112. It might be a 110, I don't know. But when you pull the measurements, this thing's pretty much right on. Like it's 14 point something inches, and I believe the real overall length, because the wheelbase ain't accurate anymore. I believe the real overall length is very similar, like 143 inches, something like that. Like they're right there by each other. So it's pretty good on scale. It's got a Rhino Outrunner in it. Right now I have a Flash Hobby. I believe this is it is a 35 kg. It's mounted SBA. You can see it there. This rig came with a steel, real cheap steel frame, and I knew nothing would probably line up on it. The spacers wouldn't be right, but it turned out the chassis spacing was pretty good. Putting the skid plate and the gearbox and all that stuff in there, though, I needed to basically drop that down because it would not have been compatible with these frame rails. And it also got me a little more room in the stack underneath between the rocker and the frame rails that it came with itself. This thing actually had leaf springs on it and things like that. I'm kind of wandering around here, but I'm kind of bringing it up as I see it. So the shocks, I'm running no springs. I don't remember what the links were. I think they're just in Jora, like pre-made, pre-cut links. And I just started playing with what would work. The top ones are real thin, lightweight ones. I had to bend them for clearance to get around this chassis brace right here. They're, I believe, in Jora drive shafts. The front one was the shortest one I could find. The back one, whatever length it needed to be. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of cutting, making holes. Like you can see here, I had to put a hole in the bottom of the body just for the drive shaft, that pivot point. You can kind of hopefully see it down in there. There's a hole right next to the passenger seat. Yeah, so hopefully you can make that out, but chassis brace. I made carbon plates, just made templates, cut them out, drilled my hole patterns. So chassis plates to drop down and mount the skid plate. Chassis plates for shock mounts, front and rear. The front ones, you can see they kind of come right up through here. And then I used carbon braces in between the shock mount braces. The seats are Acres Engineering, like metal bomber seats. They come flat, but just cut out, and you bend them. I'll pull out Olive. Hopefully I've got some other footage here that I'll put to fill in while I'm doing this. I tried to keep as much stuff on it as I could. The jerry can on the back, the sticks for the gearbox, I tried to leave those in there. Steering wheel, gauge stickers, taped them off, tried to leave the little dash stickers in place. The axles they started off as a cheap set of Amazon aluminum axles. The back one is kind of like a F10 clone. The front one, I was just like, literally, I set it on the ground to run it one day, and the C-hub or what have you, it had a real sharp corner up in the top where the relief is for the U-joint out there, and that corner being so sharp, it was a weak point. It didn't get radiused, so there was no relief there. It just snapped and the top half popped off. I probably have a picture of that when it was broken, so I'll try to put that in so you're not listening to my mouth. Try to explain it. So after that broke, I replaced it with a Trio H10. It is set up to have that hydraulic looking steering, but I don't have a bunch of room there. So I just put a regular straight link on it. It's got a pretty good steering angle. The straight link drops right down into the cradle where the fake hydro steering would sit. And I just have offset ends, and it seems to work pretty darn good. I'm throwing it there. It swings pretty far. While I'm sitting here feeling these wheels and tires, they are trenchers, stock foams in the back, and then in the front, I had bought some dual stage foams for a 425. They came with like a silicone rubber inner ring. It's not the standard foam, and it's got a little bit of weight to it. So I don't have any weights on this front axle or anything. The bias, if I remember correctly, was pretty good. I'll get the scales out and get a weight on it so I can drop that on the screen. I don't have the foams on those, so you can see like what kind of bag I'm getting on this tire. what kind of a flat spot it gets. But then that silicone, it's pretty stiff, so it kind of backs it up. So, excuse me, I'm probably hurting my ground clearance a little bit, you know, and my diff height because of that sag. Like if I had a foam in here, it might sit up a little bit more, maybe in that range, but it definitely drops it down a little bit. All that just to say, these tires seem to work pretty good like that. This rig is pretty dang capable for being a hard body. It side hills really well. You can probably see why. The center of gravity is pretty low. The bias is pretty strong. With the link differential that I have, the bias is pretty strong. I band the front to try to keep it seated down, and these shocks, they've got some pretty good stick until you get them worked out. Then they'll fall, but those bands try to keep it. It's got okay droop. The front drive shaft is so short, if I were to take those bands off and really let it fall a lot more, I might actually come disconnected, but it does all right. Another shot of the bottom. You can see the gearbox is an OD3 kind of from there in the back, red housing. I didn't really want that. It's just what it ended up being. Let me see. The wheels are some cheap Amazon wheels. Rings and hardware are all what came with it. Other than that, it was just a lot of cutting and fitting. I was glad that the stock chassis still worked for it. It helped me maintain body mounts and everything. There's kind of a receiver box here. I have a little bit of the wiring for the lights. The lights all functioned on this when I got it. So I have a little bit of wiring that's just service looped in there. So if I want to hook up the lights, I can. Things were really tight on this guy. I didn't have a bunch of room to do stuff. The front end, I had to mount the upper links on the outside. You could kind of see here. It's too tight in there. This thing is kind of small for what all the tent scale that we normally use is. I'll get measurements so that they're on the screen. I mean, it just came out cool. I like it. I did make but these shock towers that I made for the front, I went ahead and made new frame horns and added them onto the front of it because I wanted to scoot the bumper out and get a little bit more room up here. So these plates, it's probably hard to see. Maybe I can get a little, catch the glare on that carbon. You can see it came up to where the frame rail ended and then continued on. And then I just remounted the stock bumper to it. The stock bumper was full width. I cut it down, made it a narrowed bumper, just, you know, epoxied the ends back on to make it short. The back bumper is also trimmed down. It's pretty small, but it's still got, you know, the bumper loops on it. It's pretty tight. I think it was pretty much like that when I got it. It's got a little pintle on it. It's pretty cool. The spare tire mount doesn't look real great without the tire on it, so I just do whatever. It came with a shovel, the axe. I weathered them, tried to make it look rusty. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. This just basically like the tow line hooked up there. It's bungee. And then I just keep it wrapped up like if it was a tow rope, you know, on one. These seats, like I was saying, from Acres, they're little plate aluminum. They come cut out flat. I put some of that bungee on there. I believe somewhere I saw some old photos of a Willys Jeep that just had rope tied to the old seat frame, and you could tie a rope around yourself, and that would have been a seat belt maybe back in World War II. These things are all aluminum, but I had just some like Tandy stock leather strap, and I made kind of like how they used to make the leather bomber seat cushion. So I made some seat bottoms for it, and they're just on there with the 3M VHV. There you can get a better shot of the inside. But yeah, no, it's crazy how capable it is. But you know, you fold the windshield down and you look at it with all the weight and all the metal parts being below the body. Even though the body is a hard body, it's pretty low also. If I had springs in here and it sat up, you know, like there, it might be a different story, but I really wanted it to sit low and have that like wide LCG Jeep look to it. I saw that a second ago and I meant to tell you guys about that. The front of this grill is all cut out. I had to like modify the daylights out of it because the old axle, it was servo on axle, but the servo sat on top. And when I swapped to this Trill housing, it ended up being kind of top mount, but also behind the axle. It's not one of the ones where the servo hangs down back there. So I kind of have this big opening here. Maybe one of these days I'll tuck a winch in there or something to fill it in. I don't know. I'd like to put a half height servo on here. I do have one on my K truck, and I think those big, you know, nearly 6-inch tires are a little bit much for that half height. It is a Reefs, I think, LP. I might put it in here because I only run some little 650s in here to operate it. There's already not very much real estate behind here. So to get that full height servo down would gain me a little bit more. I might even be able to get the battery to sit in vertical instead of laying on top of all this garbage. I don't have any problems with anything rubbing. It's just an extremely tight fit in there. So, can't really think of anything else. It's super cool rig. It flexes pretty good, you know, for how little it is, how little the tires are. It's cool. Maybe you can hear that. When you're driving it, the tires rub on the body, makes all these little noises. Yeah, I tried to weather it as much as I could. If it's sitting at a Navy base near the ocean, I figured it would have some seagull shit on it. So I got that there, little finishing touch. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else. It's a pretty awesome rig. Hopefully I got some pictures in here so you might be able to see some stills of when things were apart and what it looked like. Hopefully a stock one has been on the screen already. You got to see what that looked like. Yeah, as always, if you have any questions about it, please throw them in the comments. Sometimes I don't see the comments, bear with me. I'll get in there and all of a sudden see that there's a new one, and then come to find out I've got like 6 or 8 on different videos, and I'll try to go through and answer all of them eventually. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Hopefully I got enough information in there, but if you have any questions, just drop them and I'll see what I can do to answer it. But yeah, that's him, Popeye. Pretty awesome rig. I think the RTR is somewhere around 60 bucks, and even it alone is pretty cool. I thought about getting another one just to have it in stock form to put by this one. It's kind of junk, you know, everything that's in it, but it's a cool little rig. It runs, it drives, the lights work, all that, and it's cheap enough to have around and let the kids bebop around in. I think they make some other stuff like some trailers and like a soft top for it, but I wanted this thing to be, you know, top down, windshield down, and look real flat, pancake-like. So it came out the way I wanted. I hope you liked it. Hope somebody got something out of it. Thank you. I'm blabbing again. We'll see you later.